Golden Blooded back with another video just for you, the college football fans. So if you are a college football fan, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. That's all we do here every single day. And don't forget to go ahead and check out our Patreon page. I call our Patreons the shot callers because they call the shots around here. Also, don't forget to check out our website, designed and created by Joey Foster. We now have 9 great writers, led by our 2 head writers, Michael Walker and Scotty B. the Baylor King. I wanted to talk about something that just plain doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The SEC finally did it. They finally did it. They finally came up with a stupid idea. The SEC threatening to create their own playoffs, their own national championship. Your arrogance is getting a little bit out of control. That's on another level. That is on a completely different level. And on top of that, did you not see the example that the soccer league laid before you? They tried that and it ultimately flopped. And if the SEC tried that, it would ultimately flop. Look, here's the thing, SEC, all right? We all know that you're the best conference in the nation. We already know that. But you still have to have competition outside of your own conference. I know. It was Alabama versus Georgia in the national championship last year. I know that. And I'm not saying ultimately it's not going to be 2 SEC teams in the national championship. The probability of that, pretty decent, I would say. The SEC is pretty good on a year in and year out basis. You can almost guarantee that Alabama's going to be there. Georgia's been pretty good recently. Ole Miss is trying to make a run. Texas A&M is, well, they're recruiting at a high level. But to create your own playoffs, that's sheer nonsense, to be honest with you. You cannot go out and create your own playoffs. I will say this, though. If the SEC were to maybe join the Big Ten, create their own mega conference, their own super conference, then that might be enough competition to create your own playoffs. But as is, 16 teams, your own playoffs, your own national championship, I'm sorry, nobody would call that a national championship. I'm sorry, nobody would call that a national championship. They would call that the SEC championship. You already have your own championship. It's called the SEC championship. So even the idea of the SEC going off and creating their own national championship makes no sense at all. How would you pull that off? I know you're thinking, oh, that would make us a lot of money. No, people would get sick and tired of that. I'm sorry. Yes, you would have the supporters of the SEC, but to be honest with you, I think even SEC fans would get kind of bored with that. I mean, where's the parity as far as going against other teams in other conferences? And on top of that, one of your favorite things to say is you're the best conference. Well, if you cut yourself off from everybody else and have your own national championship, you won't be able to say that anymore because you won't play anybody else. You'll just play each other. So how would you even say that you're the best conference? Just because you have a national championship or your own playoffs? That's not how it works. This is a terrible idea. Whoever thought of this up, what are you thinking? Was it you, Greg Sankey? Was it you, Nick Saban? Was it any of the SEC coaches? Who was it that thought of that idea? It is a terrible, terrible idea, and it makes no sense. And it would flop. It would flop badly, quickly. And by the way, yes, I did go ahead and give you a sneak peek into what an SEC playoff would have looked like last year. I mean, it does look interesting, but that's not enough teams to claim a national championship. If the SEC did that, they'd have asterisks next to all their national championships from here on out. Seems like a good idea in theory because you know that you're the best conference. So in theory, sounds like a good idea. And you know you make the most money. But if you really think about it, beyond all that, it's not a good idea, SEC. I'm sorry, it's not a good idea. Your arrogance is getting the best of you on this one. I'll be honest with you. Your arrogance getting the best of you. Now, having said that, if in the future maybe the SEC starts grabbing more teams, and eventually to where they're at like 40, 50 teams, still just the SEC conference, then it would probably make sense to have your own playoffs and national championship because you would have enough teams to actually make that feasible. And honestly, how would that work? How would you create your own playoffs and your own national championship? How would that work? How many teams get in? What's the criteria? How does the SEC championship get involved? Play a part in all that? Do you do away with the SEC championship and then it just turns into a playoff format? Is it everybody gets in? It's a 16, here it is. It's a 16-team tournament, single elimination, and you have your own big dance. Is that what you're thinking? Okay, well, if you're going to do that, then what's the point of the regular season? For seeding? See how none of this adds up? None of this makes sense. There's no way you can make it work, at least not in the long run. Maybe the first 2 years, oh, this is a new thing, this is pretty cool, just the SEC, we're the best. After a couple of years, even SEC fans would get bored. That's the problem. In the future, this would get boring, and you would start losing money. Terrible idea, stay away from it. However, I will say this, I do think that the SEC and the Big Ten will join together and create a mega conference. What's going to happen is all these teams going to split off from the NCAA, and they will create their own playoffs and national championship. And it won't be just teams that are in the Big Ten or the SEC right now. It's going to be other teams as well. It's probably going to be the top 50 brands that split off from the NCAA, create their own playoffs and their own national championship. That actually makes sense. The NCAA has done nothing. In fact, the NCAA has held back college football. The NCAA needs to go away, makes no sense, has no authority over college football if you really think about it. So yes, I do think that teams should split off from the NCAA. But I'm talking about a large group, not just the SEC, 16 teams. SEC. Yeah, we get it. It just means more in the SEC. We understand that. Creating your own playoffs and national championship, it's laughable, guys. That's going another step beyond being supreme. That's straight up ignorance. I'm just going to say it. Straight up ignorance. Makes no sense. Blew my... To even see that, this was an actual idea. For real? Are you serious? That's insane. If you think about it, if the SEC did actually do this without getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they're like a 40 or 50 team conference, it could actually turn the tables of college football. They could be on the outside looking in. They flop with their own playoffs and national championship, and now they're looking to get back with the other conferences because they know they messed up really bad and they want to get back to actually making money instead of losing money. Another question is, would an actual TV network pick them up? I understand they have the SEC network, but is there actual money to where they can make money and networks are interested to put that out? Because it doesn't make sense on paper. Could they convince a network to actually go through with that? That would be my biggest question, because we all know what the center of this is. The center of this is about making money. And it seems like what this screams out to me is the SEC now thinks that they are big enough, that they make enough money, that they can actually split off and do their own thing. I don't think so, SEC. I just don't think so. So anybody watching this video, if you can try to explain this to where this makes sense, to where I'll be like, you know what? That might actually be a good idea. Please, somebody explain this. Maybe I'm not understanding something. Maybe I'm overlooking something. I don't know. Because right off the bat, what flashes in front of my face is 16 teams, their own national championship and playoffs. That would bomb. I think the SEC would turn into a sinking ship, and they might have to beg the other conferences to let them back in because it was such a bad idea. So anyway, somebody explain that to me. Maybe I missed something, overlooked something. I don't know. But as for this video, that's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.